Cheers, I do, buckaroos. This is my official Labor Day video. For social media, man. How the heck are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, and I'm going to start with a classic you might associate with a holiday like this. A classic American adjunct lager. This is a Genesee. This is my last one, man. I picked this up a few weeks ago. 4.5%, 15 pack for about $8. I figured, what the hell? But now I'm down to my last one here, so I'll pour it here for you. Thought I'd start here. Then the second beer is going to be one I've been drinking all weekend. Picked it up Friday for their release party. Actually, just coming up Thursday. The Springfield Brewing Company Blue Canoe American Style Pale Ale. It's absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, I'm going to put this can up here. We'll put a prop up there so you can look at the can. For those of you that don't want to look at my ugly face for the duration of this video. Yeah, I'm ugly as hell, but I've got a good personality. I like to think my funny makes up for the ugly, but some people would disagree. Anyways, I digress. Let me show you how that pours. It actually doesn't pour terrible. And as far as this style goes, I honestly don't find this one any more offensive than most of them. If you take too much time to think about it, you're going to find flaw after flaw. You're going to find metallic notes. You're going to find corn syrup. But that's not what a beer like this is for. This beer, sometimes us beer geeks take things way too friggin' serious. Sometimes a beer is just a beer. You know, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, and sometimes an asshole is just an asshole. Anyways, I digress, and cheers. I've been really having fun with my Spotify lately, making playlists. Been making weekend playlists, and then for this is a holiday weekend, so I made a holiday weekend playlist. And I made one specifically for today. That it was mostly just fun, easy to listen to tunes. But the song I paused to start the video, so various social media outlets don't have to mute me or give me a copyright strike. Was Gamma right the first time from Gamma 3. It was a much more commercial album than their previous two. Their previous two, especially Gamma 2, well, was pretty heavy, pretty edgy. But they took it down a notch. They had a keyboard player switch where they went from Jim Alcivar to Mitchell Froome, who had more of, I don't know if jazz is the right word, but yeah, more progressive style, let's say. And they kind of, brought Ronnie Montrose, who was a pretty damn fiery lead guitar player. They kind of took him down a notch. They tried to make it more radio friendly, and I don't know if it was the right thing to do. But looking back on the album now, as I re-listened to it as an old man, yeah, it was good. I don't know if it was the right choice for the band, even though that particular tune did get a lot of airplay. Overall, I think it turned off a lot of hard rockers that had loved the band just because they were a hard rocking band. However, they weren't getting airplay as hard rockers, so. A little Beer Whisperer trivia for you. My first concert was actually Gamma, and I call it my first concert, well, because it was, but it was at a club. So a lot of folks will equate concerts to big arena shows. But they were a signed act, so I think anytime you see a signed act, no matter what venue you see them in, even if it's in a dive bar, it counts as a concert. But anyway, it was my first one, 1980. It was after Gamma 2. I got the tickets for Christmas, actually, from my dad, that I begged for, but he did let his 15-year-old son go to a club. However, but my dad's defense, my dad being an old World War II vet, it was kind of cagey about a lot of things. Now, looking back at the way he handled things at the time, he'd always make you think he wasn't going to let you do something right before he let you do it. And then you're always kind of surprised he did. But I did find out later that he actually went to the club. After my friend and I went to the club to see the band, the owner was kind of making his rounds through it, and he said, "Are you the kid?" My dad actually paid the owner a visit and asked him like a million questions about the club, and so he assured my dad his son would be safe, and he was. Anyways, it's interesting. Anyway, there's a lot of things I didn't know about Dad at the time. I found out later. So we didn't agree on much of anything during my teenage years. From about 13 to 22, I don't think we talked much at all. We yelled at each other. I got cussed out and got in trouble a lot, but yeah, we didn't actually talk a lot. It's one story I know I've told in 100 videos at this point, and I can't remember how old I was. I think I was probably 20, 21. We were driving along, and we were just pissed at each other for something. I can't remember exactly what, but it could have been anything at this point. We just didn't like each other. There was not a lot that we just didn't agree on stuff. I mean, Dad's politics, that was probably as about as center as you could be at that time. Mine ran a little bit more to the left. We just didn't agree on anything, whether it was a social issue or political issue, personal. We just didn't like anything about the other person. And the reason for that, looking back at it, and the conversations my dad and I had near the end of his life, is we were both so entrenched in what we believed that we never took the time to stop and take a look at the other person's point of view. And once we were able to do that, we started getting along. And unfortunately, it was near the end of his life, but we did kind of reach a point where we kind of understood and respected each other. But anyway, so we hated each other. Let me get back to that story. I had to go with him to do something, and I didn't want to do it because I had something else planned, but I had to stop and help him. And he was getting paid for it. He was getting paid for what he was doing, but wasn't going to pay me anything. And I think that's what irritated me the worst. I've got to stop what I'm doing, take time out of my day to help you, and you're not going to pay me. You know, which would have been okay if he wasn't getting paid, but since I knew he was getting paid, I thought I deserved a little bit. Anyways, that being said, we pulled up to the stoplight, and we just got finished, you know, having it out. And right now, you know, he's looking straight ahead at the road. I'm looking out the window this way, and this guy pulls up, and I glanced over, and it's a white Baja Bug, and this guy has this green mohawk. And my dad looked at that guy, and he looked at me with my long hair that just pissed him off to no end. And he looked back at that guy and he said, "Oh, hell, I guess it ain't that bad." You know, I won't say we started getting along at that point, but it did take the tension off that particular day. Anyways, I know I've told that story 100 times at this point. Sometimes it just comes out, especially on a day like this, you know, Labor Day. My dad was very pro-union. He worked union for a portion of his life, but when he was injured, he was unable to find employment. He had back troubles before I was born, actually, so then he went into business for himself. But even after that, he was always very pro-union, very pro-Teamster. I do find it frustrating when people get down on folks that are on disability thinking that they could probably get a job. I remember that's why my dad started his own business, because he couldn't get employment because of his back issues at the time. He could not get a job. People wouldn't hire him for, you know, liability issues. So we started, originally he opened a couple bars, and then after I was born, he started a catering truck business. And now the Blue Canoe in Philippines. Anyways, I digress. I got talking. I figured on drinking that one a lot quicker than I just did, but I got talking. Sometimes I get carried away, man. Anyways, there's the Blue Canoe sticker you see behind me. Happy Labor Day to all. Hope everybody's surviving this, whatever this is. Get my blue canoe out there. There we go. I took myself a blue canoe. The beginning of Where To Now, St. Peter, Elton John from the Tumbleweed Connection album. I remember stuff. Oh, mercy, cheers. So lately, it's funny, we've been talking about movies, my wife and I, things will come up. We picked up Disney Plus about a month ago, been revisiting a lot of classic movies, and the other day our daughter was over with the grandkids, and my daughter and her son, my grandson, was having an argument about what particular song a movie was in. It was a Disney animated film, and so she said, "Okay, Grampy, what song is this from?" And she sang a line from the song, and I told her which one, and my grandson Ben went, "Okay." He said, "The Grampy's not wrong about this. There's certain things Grampy knows." But anyway, but my wife and I were talking, I remember stuff like that, and I can remember almost every movie. When it comes up, when we start watching the movies, we took Callista to this when she was X years old at this particular theater. We took Seamus to this. And she looks at me like, "How do you remember that?" I said, "I don't even know how to remember that. It's amazing that I do remember this stuff, and simple things I cannot remember. But some of that stuff will just pop into my head as soon as that movie starts playing." Now, if you'd asked me the question, "Where did you see this movie for the first time?" I probably couldn't come up with it. But once that movie starts playing, I said, "Oh, we took a list of that when she was X years old, and it was at this particular theater in town." It kind of drives my wife crazy. Anyway, cheers. Especially because I can't remember, what she told me 5 minutes ago, or where I put my car keys, or anything else. But song lyrics from the '80s, or abstract facts about our children's childhood, yeah, I can come up with that stuff in an instant. Oh, mercy. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing fine on this holiday weekend. It is at the end of it now. It is Monday as I do this video. I probably won't drink much today because it's back to work tomorrow, but I wanted to have a couple. I wanted to at least do one official Labor Day video. I fixed breakfast this morning. Yesterday I par-cooked a pork shoulder roast outside, finished it up inside, because I wanted to use some of it for carnitas. I want to use some of it for some chili verde. Oh, excuse me. But I did take a portion of it today. I made some pork hash for breakfast, which was beautiful, man, because I love hash. It's one of my favorite comfort foods. Oh. And but I'm gonna fix some shrimp here in a little bit for us for lunch. My wife has never been crazy about fried shrimp, but there's a particular way my mom always cooked them. And she would use cracker crumbs as opposed to a heavy breading or a batter, and they come out very light, very crisp. So I'm going to do a version of that. I'm not going to use a cracker crumbs, but I am going to do a panko. Do an egg wash, just a light coating of the panko, a quick fry on each side because they're not going to take long to cook, and I'm going to serve that with some couscous. I have a couscous mix that has saffron and chives, but then I'm going to add a few other ingredients. I'm going to add some peas, and I'm thinking about adding some okra and corn because we have them from our garden. Then to finish it, I'm going to add some chives from our garden. Some fresh chives to top it off with. For some color, make it look pretty, Tom. Anyways, so cocktail sauce. My dad, well, he was actually a chef, but he, again, before I was born, because it was 43 before I was born. So he did a lot of things before that, but at one time, my dad and my aunt owned a restaurant together. Dad did the cooking, but Dad always felt cocktail sauce, so he'd make his own cocktail sauce, and basically all he did in this cocktail sauce was ketchup and horseradish, and I swear to goodness, that makes the best cocktail sauce. It's better than buying any cocktail sauce if you like cocktail sauce on your shrimp. It's kind of one of those middle class things, I guess. People that don't grow up a certain way don't like to use classic cocktail sauce, but yeah, that's how I make it at home. I used to just use some ketchup. And it's about the only way I use ketchup. I hate ketchup, but I'll put it in things. But I never use just ketchup. But that ketchup and horseradish does make the best cocktail sauce for a classic diner or family-style restaurant shrimp. Anyway. Blue Canoe. In association with the James River Basin Partnership, I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, Beer Evangelist, prolific beer drinker, pure beer wisdom man. All right, good guy. Cheers, guys.